And we are starting with the piece of breaking news which is just coming in, that the United States has now confirmed that B-52 bombers are striking Iran. B-2, B-1 and B-52 bombers have started striking Iran, and these are the Iranian missile sites. And certainly this will be signaling intensification of Operation Epic Fury, massive US military buildup in the Middle East, 50,000 plus troops, 200 fighter aircraft, 2 aircraft carriers, B-2, B-1, B-52 bombers are all have been deployed by the United States. Additional assets en route is what the US is saying. They are describing this as the largest US military buildup in the region in a generation. First 24 hours reportedly double the scale of 2003 shock and awe strikes. Nearly 2,000 targets struck using over 2,000 ammunition in under 100 hours. And their claims that severe degradation of Iran's air defense, destruction of hundreds of ballistic missiles, launchers and drones. What is evident is that Iran is certainly holding up as well.
In the opening hours of Operation Epic Fury, U.S. Central Command forces, together with Israel, delivered overwhelming and unprecedented strikes into Iran. We have severely degraded Iran's air defenses and destroyed hundreds of Iran's ballistic missiles, launchers, and drones. And in simple terms, we're focused on shooting all the things that can shoot at us. Our B-2 bombers and B-1 bombers have executed uncontested surgical strikes against multiple missile facilities deep inside Iran. And then just last night, a B-52 bomber force struck ballistic missile and command and control posts.
And the US has ramped up the war game. And as you heard from the Admiral, who said that anybody who is shooting at us, we are shooting back. So US has now confirmed that B-52 bombers, this is for the first time B-52 bombers are being deployed in Iran. Earlier they had B-2 and B-1 bombers pounding Iranian missile sites. Now this is going to be seen as a big mobilization of US troops in West Asia. 50,000 plus US troops, 200 fighter jets in West Asia, 2 US carrier strike groups already in West Asia. The US military has deployed B-52 bombers and has struck more than 1,700 targets across Iran in the last 72 hours of Operation Epic Fury. And this is the claim of United States Central Command. The CENTCOM has been issuing daily updates via fact sheet. Of course, that's going to be counter-checked as well, fact-checked by the other forces. The Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which is the IRGC, headquarters were destroyed during initial strikes. Other strikes have also included the command and control centers, joint headquarters of IRGC, their aerospace forces headquarters, their integrated air defense systems, the ballistic missile systems, and other sites have been impacted and attacked. For the first time, United States has deployed the B-52 bombers in Iran strikes. What does it actually mean, and what makes these bombers perhaps the most feared in the world? These are long-range heavy bombers and has unrefueled combat range of 15,000, nearly 15,000 kilometers. They are capable of flying at high subsonic speeds, and they can carry nuclear or precision guided ammunitions. Backbone of US strategic bomber force. They can, they can perform strategic attack and close air support operations. That's why their deployment becomes certainly crucial. Another piece of breaking news now coming in, that the US State Department has said that unauthorized non-emergency US government employees and their family to leave for Saudi Arabia due to safety risks. So Saudi Defense Ministry has said 2 cruise missiles have been intercepted and destroyed in Al-Kharj. Now, the US saying that its employees who are there in Saudi Arabia must leave Saudi Arabia due to safety risks. So it's a matter of huge concern as far as the number of US passport holders or US citizens in Saudi Arabia. That number would be certainly, again, in huge numbers. They have said, they have told their citizens that those who are in non-emergency services, who are non-emergency US government employees, they must leave Saudi Arabia. Sandeep Unithan is joining us now. Sandeep, the US now deploying B-52. This is for the first time. They were first used in 1955, and they remain key part of the US strategic arsenal, and they are part of the modernization. But this deployment of B-52 bombers, how should this be seen?
Yeah, this is no surprise. This is exactly what I told Gaurav Sawant yesterday when the US threatened that they would step up operations in against Iran. When the US threatens to step up operations, it can only mean one thing, that they're deploying their bomber fleet. Now, the B-52, as you mentioned, is one of the most capable bombers in the US service. It's been around for a very long time. It was developed after the Second World War. It's been used in literally every conflict theater since the Second World War, which is the Vietnam War, the Gulf War, 2003, or the operation to topple Saddam Hussein, Afghanistan. It's been used in every combat theater. It is an enormous, enormous aircraft. And just to give you an idea, it can carry a bomb load of something like 30 tons. Now, 30 tons, to give viewers an idea of how much that is, 30 tons would be like almost a squadron. It can carry the weight of almost a squadron, half a squadron of MiG-21s. It can carry 6 to 7 MiG-21s, the equivalent of 6 to 7 MiG-21s in bombs alone. So that is how big this aircraft is. It's very clear that the US, this war is not going as per plan, Maria. It's very clear because they anticipated a quick collapse, a quick in and a quick out, that Ayatollah Khamenei's death on the first day of operations would mean the command and control of Iran would collapse. They would lack the ability to launch missiles and drones the way they have done. But Iran has, in fact, expanded the theater of conflict. We are into the 5th day of operations. The Iranians have come out with a video which talks about what they are calling the operation. It's Operation True Promise 4. Now, previous installments of True Promise are, of course, the True Promise was last year during the 12-day war with Israel. So this is Iran not willing to give up. And that is the reason that the US has no option now but to bring in its heavy bombers. Now, very quickly, Maria, there are 3 bombers in the US service. There is the B-1, there is the B-2, and the B-52. The B-52 is, of course, the oldest. The B-1 is the second oldest. It's developed during the Cold War in the 1970s. And the B-2s are the Spirits, the stealth bombers which the US attacked. They are the most modern in the bomber fleet. The US used them during Midnight Hammer to bomb the Iranian nuclear sites last year. These are very capable. They carry a lot of ordnance, 18 tons each. But the B-52 is literally the godfather of bombers for the sheer amount of bomb loads that it can carry. 30 tons of bombs is what a single B-52 of the kind that you see on screen can carry. And the other important thing about the deployment of the B-52 is that, Maria, that B-52s are deployed, they're very vulnerable. It's a very huge aircraft. They're extremely vulnerable. They're vulnerable to ground-based air defenses. They're vulnerable to enemy fighters. And the fact that they are being deployed suggests 2 things, that it is being deployed in an area where the US and Israel air forces have achieved relative air superiority, which means that they've cleaned the skies of all Iranian Air Force aircraft. They've destroyed a large number of their ground-based air defenses, and they have achieved an element of air superiority, which will allow bombers like this, the very vulnerable B-52s, to fly over the Iranian skies and drop bomb loads at will. Like I mentioned, 30 tons is what one B-52 carries. So they are literally, they literally hope to bomb their way and bomb Iran into submission, Maria.
Sandeep, besides the massive payload, they also have that long-range strike platform. That's also being seen as, perhaps even as US decides when the troops will arrive on the ground, this B-52 bombers will ensure that long range. But Sandeep, don't you think that deployment of this nature will also mean that the civilian population will be hit?
Absolutely, Maria. And, now it seems like it's a no-holds-bar campaign. If B-52s carry a lot of precision ordnance, the primary ordnance is, of course, the GBU-31, which is a 2,000-pound smart bomb. It's the JDAM kit, which modifies these 2,000-pounder bombs into a smart precision strike weapon. There is possibility that the bombing could now hit civilian targets because, when you deploy this kind of ordnance, unless you're targeting only facilities which are far away from civilian spaces, which are, the missile cities of Iran, the missile bases, the underground storage sites, unless you're only targeting those, and if you start targeting military command and control posts close to cities, there is a possibility of a high level of collateral, and I'm sure the US knows this. The commanders have, briefed their political leaders about the possibility of heavy collateral. We saw that just a few days back when that school was bombed, killing over 160 girl students. So this is a possibility of heavy casualty. And very quickly, Maria, the US is in a phase now, I think, of mission creep. This thing of smart bombs, shiny bomber aircraft is very alluring for someone who's sitting halfway across the world, that we've dropped so many bombs, we've destroyed so many targets, therefore Iran will capitulate. They are trying to do from the air what the US struggled to do from the ground in 2003. I must mention that never in the history of warfare has regime change, regime decapitation been achieved from the skies. This has never been possible in the history of combat. The US is trying to use this as a shortcut solution to try and impose their will from the air without using ground forces like they did in 2003 to unseat Saddam Hussein. But the problem with this thing is that these bombs are fairly accurate. The bombers are like no other country has in the world, but it induces us what experts are calling a smart bomb trap, that you get caught in this own myth of your smart bombs being able to hit all their targets. And exactly like what happened in Vietnam, where the US went by body counts, that they believed late into the war that they were winning the Vietnam War because of the high body counts that were being piled up, that they were killing so many Viet Congs that they thought that they were winning the war. And similarly, you risk a similar problem here in Iran, that you've dropped so many bombs, you hope that you will destroy the Iranian ability to retaliate, Maria.
But interestingly, Sandeep, only today, Mujtaba Khamenei is now in charge. He is the supreme leader of Iran now. So that transition of power that we have been speaking about is also through day 5 of this war. And just look at what Iran has managed to achieve. They have managed to hold on their own. They have sent the entire West Asia in panic.